right, welcome back. Prime Minister Modi has reiterated that India's stand on the escalating tensions in West Asia is clear and consistent. Peace, stability and dialogue and diplomacy must prevail. Following detailed conversations with Bahrain's King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, the Prime Minister condemned the recent attacks on both countries and expressed deep concern over the deteriorating security situation in the region. He also discussed the safety and well-being of the large Indian diaspora living in these Gulf nations, assuring that India will continue working closely with regional partners to safeguard its citizens. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu said he held a lengthy conversation with Prime Minister Modi and thanked him for standing with Israel amidst the intensifying Iran crisis. Netanyahu's comments come after Prime Minister Modi had earlier said that he had spoken with his Israeli counterpart about the ongoing situation, conveying India's concerns over the latest developments and emphasizing the importance of protecting civilians. Here is a strong, clean conclusion in caps. As diplomatic engagements continue at the highest levels, India is walking a careful balancing line in a rapidly escalating region. While reaffirming its strategic partnerships, New Delhi is also sending a clear message that escalation serves no one's interests. With thousands of Indian citizens in West Asia and deep economic and strategic stakes involved, India's priority demands de-escalation, dialogue and the protection of civilians. We'll continue to talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Major General Sudhakarji, Geopolitical and Strategic Senior Defence Expert. Shruti Das Gupta, Foreign Affairs Expert, with us on the program as well. General Sudhakarji, I'll begin with you. Well, first of all, Vasudev Kutumbakam is an important message that India continues to disseminate throughout the world, and even in the face of this escalating situation and conflict in the Middle East, India is firm on its ideology, and that perhaps is a leaf that West Asia can also take out from India.
Absolutely, Vinit, I agree with you. Thank you for inviting me for your show. My compliments to best wishes to the distinguished co-panelists. I totally endorse what you have just said. The way things are panning out in West Asia is anything beyond, I would say, a common man's understanding. Today in the evening, I have just been told that there are 12 F-15 aircrafts which have come down like flies from the skies of Kuwait. Who has done it, how it has happened, and I believe the third is part of Iron Dome of USA and Israel. They have been pulled back towards Israel. All the GCC countries are without any air defense protection, and the firing goes on with the help of missile and standoff attacks against Iran and vice versa. So under these circumstances, the situation it is actually escalating. Whether regime change or no regime change, there may be a deep meaning, hidden agenda behind all this. So that apart, I would say the call of India as a very mature and responsible state, this escalating situation must be brought under control, because directly or indirectly, the national interest of India is impacted. 9 million, close to 9 million Indian diaspora, they stay here, they earn their livelihood, and we have the largest percentage of remittances coming from here. It becomes incumbent on the nation to make sure that they are safe, secure, and if at all there is an evacuation to be planned, it's a nightmarish experience and exercise. I don't think it is feasible, because 90 million or 9 million is a big number, which is going to be a very tall order. Therefore, in the larger interest of our national interest, I think we need to actually press home the point that this escalating situation should be brought under control, and diplomacy and dialogue must be given a fair chance to find a lasting solution to this ongoing conflict.
Well, you're quite right. Shruti, what do you make of India's stance when it comes to these conflicts in West Asia? Obviously, the oil and the economics of this conflict is a worrying part. The Strait of Hormuz is obviously going to impact India's energy imports as well. 15% of our energy comes through this particular strait. Despite that, India is still prioritizing the lives of its people and not the economy, and that's an important message.
Greetings to you and your viewers, Vineet. This is completely true. We've always done it. We do not put profits before people. That is our bottom line. We also stand in solidarity wherever we see there are injustices happening. We've stood in solidarity with Israel against the Hamas attack. We've stood in solidarity with UAE and Saudi and other Gulf nations when we see that the Iranian attacks are being, the revenge attacks are not justified in the way that nations that who are dealing with the spillover of the war have nothing to do with it. So our priority has always been to put peace first, people second, and then profits can be managed. We have strategic defense partnership with UAE, but that is for manufacturing, that is for cooperative exercises, that is for sharing of intelligence, that is for standing in solidarity, but it is not for actually engaging. So we are walking a very tight, thin line of diplomacy where we prove our worth in terms of the Vasudeva Kutumbakam. We consider everybody our family, and we hope that people find sense in all the madness that is now being orchestrated all over Middle East. Whether people are picking sides or not, India isn't. India is picking people, India is picking the path of dharma, and that is how it has always been.
All right, at this point in time, Mr. Raymond Vickery is also with us on the program. He's the former US Assistant Secretary of Commerce. Also joining us on the show is Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, former diplomat. Mr. Vickery, I'll come to you. Sir, a simple question for you. Donald Trump 8 months ago said that the aspirations of a nuclear Iran have been destroyed in that attack last year. Once again, he's said the same thing, that Iran was planning to go nuclear again, and that's why we had to wage this war. This is the American taxpayers' money which is being spent on this war. A lot of it has been spent in the past few decades as well, a few trillions if you talk about the Gulf War, and then of course in Afghanistan. What are the American people feeling about this war? Donald Trump came on the plank that he's going to end wars, not start wars.
For allowing me to comment on this. What President Trump is doing is completely contrary to his America First MAGA base of not involving the United States in foreign wars. Now he's attempting to square the circle by saying that he's only going to be in and out in a matter of weeks. But if you listen to Secretary of Defense Hegseth's press conference today, he would put no timeline on it, on ending U.S. involvement. And the concept that you're going to have regime change without any boots on the ground from the U.S. and you're going to just conduct an aerial war is not borne out by history. So we have midterm elections coming up and grave concern, I think, from Democrats particularly, but also thinking Republicans in terms of where does this go and how does it match up with what President Trump ran to get elected on. It doesn't match up. It is not a war of necessity. This is a war of choice, and the way forward in wars of choice leads to more war. We have, I think, provided a justification really to Putin in terms of his approach to Ukraine. If it's legal for the United States to attack Iran in this way, why shouldn't Putin and Russia be able to attack Ukraine? Indeed, why shouldn't China say, well, might makes right, if we can take over Taiwan, we'll do that. And of course the problem is that waging war in this way does not lead to peace. It does not lead to stability. It's the whole reason for United Nations and security arrangements after World War II is to get away from the traditional view of greatness in the world, and that is to be able to conquer territory and wage war. So it's an extremely difficult situation. It seems to me that the only real hope here at this point is that the American people will be able to rise up and rein in through the checks and balances which have sustained this great democracy for 250 years. But the jury is still out on that. There are resolutions in the House and Senate to be able to stop the conflict. Doubtlessly there will be litigation. But the problem, of course, is a mismatch in terms of timing. President Trump has moved ahead with this, and these other ways of redressing the situation take time and do not provide an immediate solution to the problem.
You're quite right, sir. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is speaking at the House of Commons on the Middle East conflict. We're going to dip in.
Still in the region, many sheltering from drone attacks are fearful about making it home. I agree with the Prime Minister that everyone in the region should follow FCDO advice and register their presence with the British Embassy. Let me also, Mr. Speaker, pay tribute to our brave service personnel stationed.
I say again, we were not involved in the initial strikes on Iran, and we will not join offensive action now. But in the face of Iran's barrage of missiles and drones, we will protect our people in the region and support the collective self-defence of our allies, because that is our duty to the British people. It is the best way to eliminate the urgent threat, to prevent the situation spiralling further, and support a return to diplomacy. It is the best way to protect British interests and British lives. That is what this government is doing, and I commend this statement to the House.
Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Bednall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I thank the Prime Minister for advance sight of his statement and for the security briefing I received earlier. This is a defining moment for the people of Iran, the wider Middle East, and the world order. I know that hundreds of thousands of...
All right. Let me, in fact, get a response from Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta as well. Ambassador Gupta, in fact, Pete Hegseth also spoke, to the world media a few minutes ago, and he went on to say that they were, very close diplomatic and non-escalatory options discussed with Iran for months now, and they kept on stalling. They kept on, in fact, moving away from the commitments they themselves made, and that is the reason why this war is happening today. And this is obviously coming from a country which has obviously attacked a number of other sovereign countries in the past as well. But in your experience, would diplomacy have worked with Iran?
Thank you to everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me. You see, nobody wanted this war in my view. I think even Americans were quite hesitant for quite some time, except Israel, which was very, very keen. Israel did not want any risk on its existence. They always felt that the Iranian nuclear threat could be very serious for them. But now the war is there, and it is getting escalated. So we have to analyze the situation in that context. Obviously, the negotiations between US and Iran failed. They had 3 rounds of talks, but maybe there were some other rounds at what we call in the background, which were not openly disclosed. During those talks, it was very clear that the text which was put forward by the American side, was not acceptable to Iran, and Iran did not want to reduce or completely discard its nuclear option, nor was willing to reduce the number of missiles, particularly the long-range missiles. Now, the third question was promoting these terrorist groups like Hamas and Houthis. There also there were a lot of disagreement. So it was very clear that some action will be taken by US and Israel on this issue, because this is not a recent thing. This has been going on for the last 2 decades. In 2015, if I remember, some agreement was signed on the nuclear issue, but then it did not work out properly. And then again, Trump, when he came back to power, this was one of the most important issues for him. Now the problem is that this is escalating to all the Gulf nations. The Iran has already attacked the oil facilities in Aramco. They have also attacked the gas pipeline in Qatar, which could escape because the drones were intercepted. Then there were attacks on the airport in Dubai, in Kuwait, and also to some extent in Bahrain. So these attack on airports and also the attack on a hotel in Dubai, all these are civilian, attacks. I don't know what was the reason why it was directed. I was listening to a debate just now where the Iranian professor from Tehran was telling that energy targets are one of their targets, but it was not the primary focus. Primary focus was American interest, but obviously the energy targets are there as Iranian targets. So if the war continues like this, obviously the whole region would be suffering a lot. Of course, India will suffer the maximum because we have more than 1 crore people employed in the region. We also get a lot of energy from the region. Our trade is also in the range of $30 billion US with the region. So all that will be suffering. But the question is whether Iran can continue this kind of offensive for a long time. I don't think so. I feel that within 2 to 3 weeks, their arsenal of drones and missiles will be exhausted, and they will not be able to replenish it because the manufacturing facilities have been destroyed by the Americans, and the stockpiles are obviously in some sort of very safely constructed tunnels, and from where they are able to launch them. So long as the stockpiles remain, they will continue to show their prowess. The most important question is whether there would be a moderate government in Tehran after this. Now that doesn't seem to be imminent as of now, because the current regime and their the responsible people, they are going to appoint their own people at the top, and therefore the policies of the regime will continue. They will not be moderate. They will be again what we call radical Islamic policies, and that is the biggest fear. And America, I don't think, can really do much about it. They won't like to send thousands of soldiers on the ground, and even if they do, it may not be possible to change the government through military means. The people of Iran have to take a view. They have to decide whether they want a government of radical Islam or they want a liberal government. That is the issue. I think the women want a liberal government, but the men, I can see, they want to dominate women, and therefore they seem to be generally happy with the current radical government where the women are subordinated to men. So we don't know how the things will fan out from now on, but obviously the instability is going to prevail in the entire region for a while. And given the instability in Europe with the Ukraine and Russia war, and now the war between Pakistan and Afghanistan, I think the environment is becoming very negative, and let's hope something will happen to end some of these wars so that the peace can prevail. So far as India's position is concerned, PM made it very clear that we do not want these hostilities to continue. We want the two sides to negotiate diplomatically and reach a solution so that all these hostilities come to an end. But whether that is possible at this stage is very, very doubtful. Over to you.
You're absolutely right, sir. And some breaking news coming in. Dubai airports have announced that limited flights will resume